It began with rain, nothing dramatic, just a slow, steady drizzle that turned city streets into mirrors and sidewalks into slippery paths. Gray clouds loomed overhead, pressing down on the rooftops, and the usual hum of traffic was softened beneath the patter of falling water. People hurried by with umbrellas and raincoats, most of them lost in their own heads, not really looking at one another. In the middle of all this was a woman named Lena, holding a red umbrella. It wasn't fancy or expensive, but it stood out, a vivid scarlet against the dull palette of the afternoon. Lena wasn't in a rush, but she moved with the kind of purpose that suggested she wasn't wandering either. She had a plan. Walk, clear her mind, and maybe feel a little less like she was falling apart. The red umbrella had once been a gift from her sister. Bright, cheerful, unnecessary. Lena had never really been one for bold colors, but today she carried it like a shield. The rain matched her mood. The gray of the sky mirrored the heaviness in her chest. Work had been relentless, and her personal life, well, it felt like a slow unraveling. No fights, no chaos, just distance. Quiet, disappointing distance. She wasn't looking for anything or anyone. She just wanted to walk and not be noticed. On the other side of the street, under the awning of a closed bookstore, stood a man named Jonah, early 40s, dressed in worn jeans and a hoodie that was already soaked at the edges. He didn't have an umbrella. He didn't have anywhere to be either. He'd lost his job 2 weeks ago, not through any fault of his own. Just downsizing, they said. Nothing personal. But how could something that uprooted your life not feel personal? He'd been standing there for almost 20 minutes, telling himself he'd make a run for the subway station when the rain eased up. It hadn't, not even a little. Jonah watched people rush by, umbrellas bobbing like mechanical flowers. He wasn't angry. He wasn't even sad anymore. He just felt blank, like his life was in some kind of waiting room, and no one was calling his name. That's when he saw her, Lena, walking toward the intersection, her red umbrella bright as a signal flare. She wasn't like the others. She wasn't panicking. She wasn't drenched. She looked still. Not calm exactly, but composed. Something about her made him pause. Lena approached the crosswalk and stopped. The light was red. She glanced around and caught sight of Jonah, just for a second. Their eyes met. She didn't smile. He didn't look away. It wasn't awkward, just a small, silent moment. A beat in the middle of the rain. The light changed and she started across. A gust of wind surged from nowhere, flipping umbrellas, sending trash skittering across the street. Lena held tight to hers, but just ahead, a kid's umbrella turned inside out. The child, maybe 10 years old, froze, wide-eyed in the rain. His mother tugged at his arm, urging him forward, but the boy was panicking. overwhelmed. Cars waited, horns honked, and Lena, without thinking, stepped off the crosswalk and crouched next to him. She said something. Jonah couldn't hear it, but he saw her lower the red umbrella over the boy's head. The mother, startled, mouthed a thank you as she guided her son the rest of the way. Lena stayed behind, now umbrella-less, soaked in seconds. Jonah watched this small act like it was some kind of miracle. It wasn't grand. It wasn't life-saving. But it was something he hadn't seen in a while. Kindness. Not the kind that's performative or planned. The kind that just happens. He didn't think. He stepped out from under the awning and jogged across the street. Lena was wringing out the ends of her hair, blinking up at the rain like it had betrayed her. She didn't notice him until he was close. Too close. She startled. He held out his hand. In it was a folded piece of paper. A receipt, maybe. On it, in smudged pen, were 5 words. You made my day better. She looked at the note, then up at him. He gave a quick, sheepish smile and shrugged, as if to say, "That's all." Then he turned and walked away, hoodie dripping, back into the crowd. Lena stood there for a long moment, the note clutched in her wet fingers. Something about it cracked through the fog she'd been carrying around for days. No one else had noticed what she'd done. She hadn't expected them to, but someone did, a stranger, and that changed something. The rest of her walk felt lighter. She didn't mind the rain anymore. She didn't even miss the umbrella. When she reached home, she pinned the note to the fridge door, right next to an old photo she hadn't looked at in months. She smiled, not because everything was fixed, but because, for the first time in a while, she felt like maybe it could be. As for Jonah, he didn't go straight to the subway. He walked through puddles, past storefronts, not even caring that he was soaked. Something about that moment had pulled him out of the fog, too. He didn't feel invisible anymore. That small act, her gesture, his note, it was like a lifeline in the middle of the storm. The next morning, Lena woke up early. She made coffee and stared at the note again. She found herself wanting to return the favor, not to Jonah. She didn't even know his name, but to someone, anyone. She made a decision that day. She would look up, look around, notice more. Be the red umbrella in someone else's storm. Jonah, meanwhile, dusted off his old camera. It had been sitting unused for months. He'd once dreamed of being a photojournalist, of telling human stories, of capturing real moments. Somewhere along the way, that dream got buried under deadlines and day jobs. But now, he felt like trying again. Just one step. Just one photo. Maybe he'd start with umbrellas. Maybe red ones. The world didn't change overnight. Traffic still backed up. People still shouted into phones. Deadlines still loomed. And responsibilities didn't disappear. But something had shifted quietly in both of them. A small act, a silent exchange, a moment in the rain. It hadn't been dramatic. It hadn't been loud, but it had mattered. That's the thing about kindness. It doesn't always announce itself. It slips between moments, unnoticed by most. But for the person it touches, it can be everything. A reminder that we're all in this together. That even on the darkest days, someone might step into the rain with you or give you the umbrella you didn't ask for. And maybe that's all we really need sometimes. Not answers, not fixes, just a sign that we're seen, that someone notices, that we matter. So next time it rains, and it will, look around. Maybe someone needs your umbrella. Or maybe, just maybe, someone will offer theirs to you. Either way, don't miss the moment. Because even strangers in the rain can leave footprints on your heart.